All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Up and In Show. I feel far away from the purple couch. I don't know why. I mean, I'm not on the purple couch, so. But we are not in Cards and Culture. We're usually in Cards and Culture. We are at our downtown location, and I'm blessed with two special guests today. Thank you, Sarah Edwards. Sharon. That's my mom's name.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry. That's weird bringing up my mom. But Shannon Coulon, thank you guys. I appreciate y'all.
Yeah.
Former cheerleader, former gymnast at LSU, and doing big things right now. So I'm really excited to dive into conversation with y'all and find out what y'all are doing and tell your stories a little bit. Sorry, I am just messing up all kinds of words right now. So
You're killing
no
it.
pressure. Thank you. But I usually let our guests tell a 1 minute, 2 minute intro of who you guys are, what you guys do, because obviously I kind of know what you guys do, but let our guests know kind of what you guys are up to.
Yeah.
I'll let you go first, Sarah.
The birthday girl's letting
Oh,
Sarah
that's
go
so
first.
sweet.
There we
So
go.
sweet.
And happy birthday, Shannon.
Yeah,
Thank
happy
you.
birthday, Shannon. So I'm Sarah Edwards. I was a former LSU gymnast. I was at LSU for 5 years. I was involved in the NIL space when it first started. So really cool. I majored in engineering and I went back and got my master's in business.
Ooh.
So have a couple
Big
rings
timer.
to show for my time at LSU. We were 2-time SEC champions and national runner-up. So those were some fun little glory days that I experienced and still have with me. But currently, I'm working at an engineering firm. It's in Baton Rouge. It's Sigma Engineers. Yeah. And Shannon and I actually just started a business together with our third counterpart, Amanda Ledet, and it's called Stripe Social. So we kind of, we'll probably dive into more of that, but it's basically a social networking group, and we want to, be really present in the community and host events that bring light to businesses and just get more people involved in a space that may not have been there before. So
Nice.
that's what I've been up to.
That stuff for sure.
Yes. It's funny because I met Sarah just a few months ago. We've followed each other just throughout the years at LSU, but we never really had a relationship.
I was gonna ask that if you guys knew each other at LSU. No.
No. It's it's funny because a lot of the sports don't really intermingle with each other that often. And so I remember seeing Sarah around campus sometimes, and then obviously because everybody loves gymnastics, I would cheer at the gym meets. And anyways, just a few months ago we got connected, and actually someone that we both look up to very much. Our first time hanging out, they were like, "Oh, I thought you were best friends for years."
Right.
It was our first time ever hanging out.
It was first time ever, but it was just so genuine, natural, and our personalities just jive. So
That's awesome.
So
I love hearing that.
with Stripes, we want to help champion individuals as well as businesses, and I think that really helped spark our friendship.
Right.
But to introduce myself, I am pretty much born and raised in Baton Rouge. I'm from Prairieville. It's 20 minutes outside of BR. I have always loved the Tigers. It was born in me. I have pictures from whenever I was 4 years old wearing LSU cheer uniforms.
Oh my God, I love hearing that.
Yes, and so I cheered for 4 years at LSU. I was the captain my last 2 years, and graduated in 2022. After I graduated, I moved to Mandeville, which is not too far away. I worked full-time, and then recently I moved back to Baton Rouge. I started a marketing company with my business partner, Katie. It's called Honey Creative Group. And then have also literally back to back started Stripes with Sarah and Amanda Ledet. So it's been a wonderful journey. And yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Yes, we're happy to have you. You guys are awesome. When did you leave LSU? When were you?
So I graduated undergrad in 2022 and then my master's in 2023.
Awesome. Okay, so you guys were in school at the same time.
Yes.
That's awesome. And what were you doing in Mandeville? What was your first job out of college, did you say?
I was working at a marketing software and agency. It was called Marketing Box. I was their in-house social media director.
Okay, very cool.
So it translated into marketing, and then now what I do with Stripes and with Honey, it's a lot of social media and creating content. So that's my groove.
I love it. And where were you from originally?
I'm originally from Ocean Springs, Mississippi. So it's only 2 hours away. So similar to what Shannon was saying, with LSU, there was no gymnastics in Mississippi. So if you wanted to go anywhere, you had to go out of state. So I have pictures of myself with Debro and Bob when I was little. I used to come to all the LSU gymnastics camps. And so that's kind of a full story because that's where I got recruited. It's after the camp ended, that's where things kind of just played out. So it was neat.
That is. I always love hearing stories. I'm from New Jersey, so I'm 17 years now in Louisiana. So I came down here when I was 17, and I guess my mom calls me a Southern boy now. So I mix in y'all every now and then and things like that. And I got a little bit of a Southern accent, I guess, according to her. But I always like those stories to see, people that came to LSU, loved it so much, wound up staying here afterwards. Baton Rouge is a great place. I really do believe that. And I know it's not a national city, like in the sense of people are desiring to come here and work, after college and stuff. But when we have people out of state that played sports here and then stay here after, I think it's a great thing. So, and then I always love stories too, where you grew up here. I'm always jealous of like the Baton Rouge people or like people in Louisiana that got to grow up, loving LSU and then ending up here too. It's so cool.
Right.
Yes. It's so funny because we have quite a few conversations centered around Baton Rouge isn't really looked at as a major city, but it's our state's capital.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of athletes, I feel like if they do move away, if they are an entrepreneur or if they're looking for a career change, it's beneficial to stay connected with your network here in Baton Rouge. I mean, being in a sport at LSU has just opened so many doors for so many people. And so I think did I picture myself moving back to Baton Rouge so soon? No.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad that I did, because I don't think we would have the success that we have had I not moved back here.
Yeah.
So I love it.
Yeah. And people ask me all the time, they're like, why Baton Rouge? And I'm like, because of LSU. I came here, I wound up making all these network connections, like you said, these relationships. We were fortunate enough to win a national championship while I was here. I was part of that team, big part of that team. And like, it just makes sense. And I wouldn't be able to start. I had a few gyms in town. I've invested in some other businesses, and then obviously have a collectible shop in this podcast, and I wouldn't be able to do that, even have conversations with y'all without being able to have that network and stuff like that.
Well, and
It
I've
really
seen
is
that
cool.
firsthand, though, because you came and spoke to a class that I was in
Oh my gosh.
at LSU. Actually, I think
Whose was it? Do you remember?
Chad Savage's
Yeah,
class.
Chad, yeah.
I think Abby Alonso was in that class with me.
Yes,
It's-
okay.
Yes.
That's so crazy. I love that. We just spoke at one of Chad's classes recently too. Her and I
Oh,
together.
Okay, he was one of my favorite professors. I took I tried to keep taking him every year. I was trying to find an elective that I could
Yes.
have him as. Anyways.
And TK's laughing because she's in the class that I went and spoke to.
Okay.
And yeah, I think she was already kind of working with Abby a little bit before when I went and spoke, but we picked up an extra intern and everything from his class too.
Cool.
So I love it. And
Right.
I've actually had some really. I've spoken at a couple entrepreneurship classes too. I've had people come in the shop and buy things, but then also ask for internships and jobs and things from that. So again, we talk about network
Right.
and
Yeah.
obviously going back and things like that. It's crazy how holistic it is and full circle things are too.
Really.
Absolutely.
And just how you're able to like make those connections, be able to like leverage relationships and connections that you make, because it's just super neat just having like the student athlete perspective. It's like you don't realize how many people that you know and how many people like truly are on your side still,
Yes.
like once you graduate. And so it kind of just like gives you just like a leg up in, not like in the community in like a boastful way, but just get your foot in the door places. Maybe you get to, do things that are a little different, unconventional, and how you get jobs, or, just like how you know people. So like you said,
Yes.
it's a full circle thing, and it's really cool to be a part of while you're there. And then also just like the just after effects of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I know. I don't think you truly realize how important alumni is to the university until after you graduate. And if you're starting a business, or if you're trying to get connected in a field that maybe you don't have the experience in, like, let's use our resources.
Absolutely.
So
I tell that every single time. I feel like every class I always kind of open it up for questions at the end. And that's more in the entrepreneurship classes, because they're more creative and things like that. In the media world, it's more like X's and O's type thing. But in entrepreneur, like, what's advice that you would have for us right now? And I'm like, get to know everyone around you. Like, just network, be friends with each other. Like, I know it sounds weird, but like, keep in touch with each other, because this is like such a unique time of your guys' lives. As you guys graduate and go different places, you'll wind up coming back or seeing each other after school. And if you're a student athlete, that's even more important, because all these students look up to you, and that kind of stuff. And they want to be like you. They want to connect. So the more that you can connect with them and become human and develop those relationships early, those are the people that are running businesses, 10, 15 years later, that you want to call and be like, hey, whether it's for work, whether it's for a job, anything, right? Or to just connect people and help them out too. It's just great to have that Rolodex and stuff. So I always tell that to people all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, we had just we went and spoke at the NILSU. We were a part of LSU's marketing.
Yes.
Nice.
And they had a speed networking thing with the
Nice.
high tops.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so
that was so fun. I was just about to bring that up. I
Yeah.
loved it.
Yeah.
that was some of the advice that we gave some of like the younger student athletes, or some of our former teammates who were present. Were like, get to know everybody, like network. Like if you don't have a LinkedIn set up, like it sounds like old saying that, but seriously, like it all like you said, like just being able to have like those resources to be able to lean in on, and like the alumni association, and like all the L Club, and like everything that the resources that you have, just being able to like utilize those and build up your repertoire. So
Yeah, absolutely. What do you do over at Sigma? What's your role at Sigma right now?
So I am the PR, marketing, and social media manager.
Nice.
So I work a lot at like the business development trips. We do like in the community, and then also I handle all of our like in-house social media and any write-ups and reports that go to like LSU 100 or
Nice.
like those kinds of things. So
Gotcha.
kind of like the external face and mouthpiece.
Yeah, I love it. And you're pushing our good friend Robbie Olivia that we have in common, right? To be on camera more and do some different things.
Yes. We have some like fun, exciting things. So we're starting a series called Wino with Rhino.
Yeah,
And
he told me.
his nickname is Rhino, and
Yeah.
I'll let him explain that story.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we've been having some like cool conversations, just like, you know, we want him to be the face of a company. It's like important for business
Absolutely.
owners to, you know, not have someone come in, but someone who is going to be like that long term, you know, that like trailblazer, and like just be able to like speak to some of his accolades that he has. So anyway, just like being somewhat of a coach in that respect is, you know, getting to tell someone who is very knowledgeable in their career field,
Right.
something that I'm a bit knowledgeable about. So it's been cool. It's been really awesome. He's like, I need to see all these videos before they go out. But it's been cool. It's been really cool.
Us older people, I feel like we're a little different than you guys. Kind of grew up with the phones and the you know, that
For
kind of
sure.
stuff. I was like right in between. Robbie's a little older than me, so it's like it's just still a little different for us, you know, getting on camera. I'm obviously used to it now, doing this for 4 years, and things like that. But and even like just the training that we had, like I'm sure his was the same way when he was in college. It was probably like, don't do anything stupid, don't post anything, you know, like, and same thing with me as an athlete, you know, like it was be careful what you post, you know. And so it's not really first nature to get behind the camera and just start telling stories and be open and vulnerable and, you know, everything. And so I know Robbie's really excited to have you around, and he spoke very highly of you in our meetings and things like that. And he's
I love
grateful
that.
for making him comfortable with the uncomfortable. So
I love it.
yeah.
That's something that it's really cool to see. Like just like whenever you have a job, like, you know, you learn a lot in it, especially like if it's your first job, and just being able to be able to grow in that capacity of like being able to mentor me, and me being able to like learn so much in the process of that. But then you know, you always hear that like great leaders, you know, they can also like learn on the fly, and that you're always adapting. If you're staying stagnant, you're behind. And,
Yeah.
you know, but anyway, it's really cool to have someone who is as experienced as he is, but still wants to learn and like cares what I have to say. So.
No, he really is awesome. He's I've only known him for a couple months now, but one of my business partners and mentors that I've known for years, Eric Mistretto,
Yes.
also was over there. So he kind of introduced Robbie and I, and again, network, right? It just winds up how it works out. And Robbie
100%.
seems to be a great leader, and I'm excited to continue to learn from him,
Yeah.
you know, and things like that too. So hopefully we're going to be business partners on some ventures and things coming
Love
up. And
it.
probably in line with a lot of the stuff that you guys are doing. So I'm sure we're going to be crossing paths over the next, you know,
We love
hopefully
it.
multiple years and that kind of stuff.
For sure.
But Shannon, I kind of want to, before we dive into Stripes, tell me a little bit about Honey Creative, because I followed that account just by I think I followed you, you posted it, you know, and I was like, oh, this is really interesting and cool. So tell me a little bit about Honey Creative, why you started it and how you started it, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so right after I graduated LSU, I immediately moved to Mandeville, was working full-time in-house, and it was for a marketing software and agency. It was more so of a startup. And so I worked very closely with the CEO. I was actually the host of the Marketing Box podcast.
Wow,
so it was
nice.
his podcast. And what I was able to learn within a year working for a startup was amazing. And I think I would never have been able to do what I do now had I not been there.
Yeah.
And he taught me a lot. And so actually my business partner worked there as well.
Nice.
I was there every day in person, and she was a little bit more remote, so I knew her. I see her occasionally.
Yeah.
Anyways, unfortunately in August I did get laid off, but it's all good because it was honestly the biggest blessing ever. 2 weeks later, I have Katie, who is my now business partner. She's calling me. She's like, Shannon, because I really could have gotten a job anywhere I wanted,
Yeah.
but I just had this like it was just an instinct. I'm like, okay, I don't really want to go get another full-time job just yet. I really do think I could do this on my own.
Nice.
So Katie actually had Honey Creative as an LLC, just kind of like on the side.
Okay.
She probably had just one client.
Yep.
And so she was like, Shannon, I really believe in you, and I do not want to lose out on an opportunity to work with you because I've seen everything you can do, and like I don't want to let you go off.
Yeah.
And she basically was just like, let's see how you do. And so I ended up moving back to Baton Rouge from Mandeville. It just didn't really make sense for me to be there anymore. And I told myself, hey, look, if I don't get a client, you know, it's fine. I'll just go get another 9 to 5.
Yeah.
I'll be okay.
Yep.
But literally just like that, I got my first client and I was
Let's
like,
go.
okay, I can do this.
Yeah.
I was very scared, not gonna lie. I had to be willing to sacrifice a lot, and you have to let go of just your pride, your ego, and be willing to kind of feel a little silly when you're not making any money and you're used to having a full-time paycheck. And so I was just like, okay, I can do this. And eventually we saw that we kept getting a lot of organic social media management clients. And so that's really what Honey Creative has grown into.
Okay,
A
cool.
majority of our clients are social media management clients. So
You manage their accounts and stuff like that?
yes, I
Nice.
meet them at their business. I shoot the content. I take that content. I edit it, schedule it out for the month. They can make approvals, edits, and then I post it from there. So I'm
Genius.
basically managing their accounts and then also creating all the content for it based on their business goals. So I've learned a lot very quickly even with that. I think that's the beauty of social media. It's ever changing. It's grown so much even within the past 10 years, and I'm excited to see where the future goes with that. We are a full-scale agency, but right now more organic social media is really where the business is going.
Nice.
So
Do you work with individuals as well?
that's so funny because we've gotten a lot of people.
I'm like, I need help. I'm like, I need help bad. So
Yes, we've gotten a lot of personal brand requests. Just honestly, I feel like a lot of people need social media coaching.
Yeah,
So I don't have any current
gotcha.
personal brand clients, but we have had a few bites on that. So I think would you
explore it?
I would explore it,
Okay.
yes.
Let's talk about it. Yeah.
Yes.
I need some help. Kind of like what
Sarah's right. Sarah and I have also had conversations centered around that because Stripes has also had a lot of interest in that, just because we're marketing ourselves as personal brand development. Because
Gotcha. Okay, so that's
right. There are some things that overlap, which is so
Understandable.
interesting. And hey, look, everything has changed.
We're here for it.
We're here for it. We're just kind of flying by the seat of our pants, trying to figure everything out.
welcome to entrepreneurship. That's I've been doing that for 4 years now.
Yeah.
So
It's fun.
there's no rules, so you just get to do whatever. You're like, oh, we'll do it this way. We'll try it this way, and that's the
Right.
way you figure shit out. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like you really do. That's it. So
Yes.
So is Stripes social is more of that. So it's more personal branding, that kind of stuff, or is it? Explain to me a little bit about what that is. Yeah.
It's multifaceted, honestly. We've had a few events, I guess you would say, where we've invited individuals that we think could benefit from that particular event. And our sponsors, the businesses that we've worked with, we've kind of centered it around like a theme or like, for example, our Mardi Gras event was at Uncle Earl's. It was a big turnout. It was a lot of fun.
Nice.
We've gotten a lot of positive feedback from the individuals and the businesses that attended.
Nice.
So the whole goal behind that was the businesses that are sponsors, like personally, because Sarah has such a great brand on social media. I do too, just not quite the following she has. Either way, like we're sharing the businesses. We're making sure every person that attends, they follow that business. They're
Nice.
also marketing that business. So it's really just like a mutually beneficial relationship between the people attending and the businesses involved.
Very
Right,
nice.
we're trying to foster like the relationships between
Yes.
businesses and those who are members of Stripes. So that's what we're trying to get more community involvement.
Gotcha.
So after I graduated college within NIL, like I was able to work with different brands, and I love that aspect of it. I got to meet a lot of really cool, awesome business owners. But then after I graduated, there wasn't really anything there tangible for me to continue to do, and so. Amanda Ledet, she has a PhD in marketing. She works at LSU.
Nice.
So she's kind of like the third person in this who we kind of like how our story started. So one of her marketing classes, they did a report on my social media and how I could like continue in the influencer world and like what that would look like. And so then Shannon had, we'd had similar profiles as to like who is, I guess, a competitor
I had
in your
no idea
space
this was going on.
or someone who's that, is similar, has a similar like brand as you. So after that kind of happened, we're like, well, how do we continue something? What do we start? Like, how do we get more involved in the community? And I was like, well, what about pop-ups? What if we started hosting things? Like, because I would love to be able to have something to go to attend, to be able to post about. And I was like, well, it'd also be beneficial for the businesses. I was like, well, why don't we start like something like that's centered around networking? And so we kind of like are the facilitators of these events so that it's beneficial for someone who wants to continue to grow in like the social media area, who's like maybe influential or who's just looking to network, one. So it gives them an opportunity to be able to come in. And number two, the businesses are now benefiting because everyone who's attending this event or at this location posting about it. So that's a premise of what we have currently tangible and we're working with. Like Shannon mentioned, we really want to get into personal development. So whether that be for, student athletes, like after they graduate, where we are working with the L Club, just to kind of like figure out what that may look like if we were to do something like that. But yeah, that's kind of what we want, like professionalism, but we also want to have fun as we're doing stuff.
No, it makes sense. And my brain is immediately spinning because I'm like, this sounds like we need to have a meeting like yesterday. Because I have a collectible shop in Baton Rouge, in Perkins Row. We're a little different than most of the other shops there. It's, a lot of women boutiques and things like that.
For
and
sure.
I'm kind of like I'm a male dominated kind of place in there, but it's all sports cards, art, memorabilia, storytelling, that kind of stuff. But we're actually rebranding the space now that the media side has grown to here in this location. We have about 500 to 1,000 square feet open now. So we're doing the walls and making things go vertical, so we have more event space. We're gonna have a lounge where there's gonna be a bar and things like that. And Robbie's, hopefully gonna come on board to help us some leadership things, and we want to have more events there. That's literally what we're opening the space
so
for.
fun.
Yeah,
So-
I have an event in mind that we could definitely use that for.
All right, perfect. And so we're going to work with local artists too, and like some bigger artists like Becky Foss and stuff like that, where, quarterly we'll have like most of their art on the wall and things like that, and then featured in the window and stuff, and we'll story tell. But that's where we could have some really cool events with some wine tasting, some alcohol tastings. We're sponsored by 7-3 Distilling, and they're always coming out with some new alcohol stuff, and they obviously are throwing a little brand awareness here. Shout out to our sponsors, St. Rock Vodka, which is the official vodka of the Bayou Traditions collective with the NIL. So people buy this vodka as long as you're 21. It goes back into the fund for athletes and things like that. So we'll have all their alcohol stuff there. There's literally going to be a bar set up. There's going to be a lounge, TVs, all that kind of stuff. So we definitely need to have a conversation and figure out what we can do there, because it would be really cool to work with y'all.
Seriously. Just because, we want to bring more awareness to like businesses that are in Baton Rouge. We want to be able to work with different business owners for whatever makes sense for them, and just be able to have like business be able to really tell their story and be able to have others hear that story, because I guess that's like what we've learned most is like being able to hear from people we've worked with. Like it just really is cool. And like, we just want to be able to, just really be able to facilitate more people getting to share in what the business owners love and are passionate about. So
Absolutely.
That's exactly it. And I like to look at it as, if you would be amazed and blown away by the power of just putting like-minded individuals who beforehand probably have never even communicated, and kind of like Sarah and I, you have a 10-minute conversation with them and you're like, wow, why have we never met before?
You're so inspired.
The things, it fuels
Yes.
your soul almost, because you're just like, man, I wish I would have met you 5 years ago. Like, where was this?
Right.
So anyways, I think that the relationship aspect of it is the best part.
Absolutely. And then we talk about networking, right? You're going to bring your people. I'll have people in there that will meet you guys, and like, again, meld. It's cool to have the crossovers, right? Because it would be weird to. Sometimes people might be like, okay, cheerleading, gymnastics background, right? Marketing. What does that have to do with cards and collectibles? And it's like, well, it has everything to do with it. One, because storytelling is all of these photos and art and memorabilia and cards, all of a story behind them, and the marketing is what makes the value. And then my network, right, is a lot of male dominated stuff, a lot of business owners, people with high end, some money and things like that. But like Robbie Olivier, not super comfortable behind cameras and things like that, and needs the marketing, needs that kind of awareness, that kind of stuff. So again, great crossover potential. I think we could do some really cool stuff together for sure.
Yeah, definitely. It just really is so neat how just like networks, like that's just how how things get started. It's just letting it work. Oh, like I got introduced to you, you introduced to me, and then now we're like, oh yeah, we're actually like business partners, or oh, we're gonna work together, and like, oh, we're having your next event. So it's just like those conversations, and I guess like the little bit of boldness and like the uncomfortableness, but like how you spoke to entrepreneurship, it's that's the name of the game. Like you got to put yourself out there a little bit, and it's really cool to. Shannon was speaking about this the other day. She was like, I love working with Stripes. Like y'all all carry your own weight, you pull each other. Like you don't have to be asked to do something. Like you just get it done. And I feel like that's really the cool part of now owning a business is for the little revenue that we've had, I guess it's technically a business, but just that you have to pull yourself up by the bootstraps. You're like, all right, if I'm gonna be the one to do this, or one of three of us are gonna be able to do this. Like you can't really, if I guess what I'm trying to say is like nobody else is gonna do it, so you have to do it.
Absolutely.
So
Abby's seeing that right now. I know you guys have met with her about some stuff, right? And we're handing this media side of things off to her, and it's a lot of responsibility, and it's super fun for her, and she's excited. But then she's like, "Wait, I have to do this. I have to do this." And I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, I'm helping you, and I'm going to be there, and we have some great help, and we've got some great interns that are going to hopefully be a part of this for the long run and stuff." But it's really figuring it out on the fly too, right?
I feel like people think. Sometimes they straight up ask me, well, how did you do this? Yeah. How did you do this? And I'm like, literally, you just have to see what you're made of. You have to be willing to kind of just put it all on the line. And if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. But like, if you don't just go out and try and have a conversation with somebody, you're never really going to know. You can't give somebody all the cards and say, oh, here you go. Here's how you can go and do this on your own. You really just have to find out for yourself, which is...
And a lot of times it's trial and error, right?
Yeah.
You're just like, all right, I've never done this before. So I tell Abby this all the time, right? It's just like when you, again, I don't know the terminology, so pardon my ignorance, right? But the first time you were on beams as a kid, whatever, or the first time you were in front of 100,000 at a football game and thrown in the air, right? You never done it before, but then by the time you're a senior, you've done it so many times, you don't think about it, right? And it's just natural, and it just comes natural. And that's what entrepreneurship, it's the same way that the first time I threw a baseball or tried to learn a new pitch, right? You're like, I've never done this before, we're gonna see how it goes. And that's the way life is too, and business is. You're just gonna try shit, we're gonna throw it against the wall and see what sticks, and you're gonna figure out, oh shit, actually, this is my bread and butter, right? This is what I'm really good at. This is what people keep coming back for and are paying us for now. And then it's like, oh, we have a little business here we go. And then one thing just piles onto another, and then you make it work. And that's really what entrepreneurship is, especially at the early stages that you guys are.
I'm thinking back as soon as you said like, oh, the first time like performing whatever, y'all, the first time I like ever did a back tuck, I was in my front yard, in the grass. I scared the neighbors. My parents were inside, and I was just like flipping in my front yard.
Oh my God.
I straight up just said, I'm gonna teach myself this today. Landed on my neck. I just like kind of laid there for a second because I was just very dizzy, and the neighbor ran across the street and he picked me up. He ran me inside my house. He's like, Angie, Shannon just landed on her neck. Is she okay? I'm like, I'm fine. I just like had to figure it out and have to do that again. So trial and error,
That's
you
it.
just have to be willing to hurt yourself a little bit.
And guess what? That feeling you didn't like, so you were like, I'm not going to do that again. This time I'm going to tuck a little harder with this.
Never going to do that again, ever. But anyways.
And it's like in business, right? When you fail or something, it's like, you're like, I don't want to feel that feeling again. I'm not going to do that.
And I think that also like having the student athlete background that like all of us do, it really does help like with your entrepreneurship, because you had gone through so much in college, like the mental toughness, the tenacity, the enthusiasm that you had to have even on like, the day that it wasn't going your way, or, what it's like to be put in and pulled out of a lineup, or, the injuries, the overcoming, all of that. I think all of
too,
right.
I think is a huge one too.
Exactly. Like there's so much that goes into it that's character building, and it really is cool to get to see what those characters and how they play out whenever maybe there's an adversity ahead of you, or like what your colors really are made of whenever it comes to it. So that's a cool part that's still a part of our student athlete life that carries into like who you are as a person and like your makeup.
100%. And I think even if you're not like trying to start your own company, if you're going to apply for jobs and you were a college baseball player and whatever, you have the skills that maybe not like they don't go on paper, but you have skills that like that cannot be taught to the average person. You might not be the perfect paper candidate for that position, but they sit down with you for 5 minutes, they're going to fall in love with you because you have that in you. And it's just because you've grown up doing your sport. You have the discipline. You have that go-getter attitude. And that was something that we instantly bonded with. Because a lot of people you meet, they ask you questions and you're just like, I don't really know how to give you an answer. I just kind of did it. You have to be a go-getter. So.
Absolutely. That's why, you see so many companies, like there's a lot of leadership that is like, I look for student athletes. If you played a sport in college, especially, and in high school it definitely helps, but in college it's that next level, and it's the sacrifice that we're talking about, right? Sometimes in entrepreneurship, I'm at the shop till 10 o'clock at night because I had to clean something in the back and we have a birthday party the next morning, and that means I can't go out with my friends. I'm not going to dinner. I'm not eating, right? Or Abby's poor family came in town last night and they had Savannah Banana tickets, and she's here till 7 p.m. editing something, and rushing to the game, and her family's like, what the hell is going on? And she's trying to grow something. She's doing something extraordinary, right? And you've all learned that doing, how many birthday parties did you miss? Family events did you guys miss? I missed births of my nieces and nephews, weddings, funerals, like things like that, right? Over a 20-year baseball career, not professional, but 8 years professionally, like we don't get an off day. I couldn't come back for a wedding just to be like, I gotta go. It's like, no, I'm chasing a 1% dream. And that means you're sacrificing stuff. So when it comes to entrepreneurship, it's no different. And that's why I have a tattoo on me called "Through Adversity Comes Strength." You're only going to get stronger through that adversity and stuff. And that's why businesses know and why entrepreneurs are successful that, have, played sports for sure.
Yeah, that definitely resonates with both of us, and like, the reason and like the why we start, and like the, the reasons of the, I don't know, like the heart and why you do something. And like the adversity of it, but through adversity also, like you get to see, the flip side of it, you get to see the light at the end of the tunnel sometimes. And like, you're like, okay, yeah, like all this work is paying off. Like, you get to like see something in action, like hosting, the first event that we had. I was like, there's only 3 people like in the first like 10 minutes. Like we had more RSVPs, but like, is anybody going to show up? And then by the end of it, it's kind of like you see the light at the end of the tunnel, and that, people came and they enjoyed, and like there was great feedback. And so, but yeah, like you said, there's businesses is up and down. And I think that some of the skills that we've had are really gonna, be able to pave the way for our future, and,
Sometimes that validation and are the things that you need, like those milestones in business, right? You said only 3 people came. Maybe that by the end, 10 people, 15. I don't know. Maybe if it was only 3, but those 3 people had the best time of their lives, and maybe there was a silver lining of like, we got to connect with 3 people like on a deeper level, right? And then they go and tell their friends, hey, these girls are doing amazing things. Like you got to call them, you got to contact them, come with me to the next event. And that's how it starts. Sometimes it's slow, right? I tell Abby that all the time. I'm like, don't get caught up in the views on our shows right now. Like, we are doing something different. It's going to take time. We are not traditional media. And like, as long as we have our core group of people that are following and liking, and we have that validation, it'll grow, and it'll grow when it's supposed to. And be thankful that it is where it is right now. So that way we can mess up and there's only 3 eyes on us, you know what I'm saying? And not millions yet, you know what I'm saying? So that's it. It's hard to like keep that presence sometimes, though.
Yeah.
And if there's someone listening to this that might feel a little lost, and you might be in that transitional phase in life, I don't know if this will make you feel any better, but there have been multiple days where I'm like, I cannot believe that this is my life now. Like I think back to even just a year ago, my life wasn't like hard. Like I'm very blessed, but I think back and I'm like, I can't believe then, like I thought I was living. Now it's like, it's the thrill and the stress that you're grateful for, because you're like, I am doing something right. And I know I'm doing something right because I keep getting connected with these amazing people. And I'm like, had I not ever taken this risk, I would not have met some of, like, literally, I've only known Sarah, truly known her for a few months now. And it's like, I talk to her 24/7.
Right.
So it's been a blessing, too, to have a friend my age that is in a similar field and has that similar mindset, because everybody's different, And so that's, I feel like when you meet the right people, it's going to help you just move a lot faster. So.
Absolutely. And when you're living right and you're aligning right, you're definitely going to start meeting the right people. And I haven't met a person that's been, in my opinion, that's successful that hasn't had some sort of adversity. And I can't tell you how many people sit on this couch with me, whether they're a top level athlete or they're an entrepreneur or entertainer, that didn't have the lows or the scared times or the fears that we all share, And sometimes it's easy to look at the phone and see the final result, right?
Right. No, right. Yes.
And make opinions of like, oh, they just got it all figured out. It's probably been so easy for them, right? And it's like, no.
You don't know quite all the details, but
exactly. So all right. So what are the next steps? What are important for you guys to grow, right? We're talking about all these things and the milestones. So what do you think it would be to open up doors to let you guys really start hitting the growth that you guys want to see?
So I think that what we're trying to do now, as we've started into the 3rd month of the year, is we have the next 4 events planned out. So we want to be able to kind of get that schedule out to, earlier to individuals so that they know what's going on. As of right now, we kind of reaching out individually to people that we know or people who've reached out and filled out forms. So that would be the first thing, is like being able to establish more of an event space that people were like, okay, yeah, great. I guess long-term views, like we would love to have someone, work full-time, at Stripes. And, or if that means like having someone else come on board, part-time in a capacity to dedicate more of their time to Stripes. And then I guess the third piece would really be to start into the personal development, kind of seeing what that would look like, implementing that strategy. We've definitely want to do some consulting work. We want to do, what's it called? Stripes.
She's like,
No, the thing that Amanda came up with.
Oh, I don't even remember.
Anyway,
we haven't looked at it in a minute.
We want to get, so I guess the long term goal is to get into the consulting.
Right.
Yeah,
I think what would help us get to the next page, when you look at like Amanda, I know she's not here today, but she's a professor at LSU. She's also heavily involved in other aspects at LSU. She's a grad school professor as well. She in
she
itself,
sounds like a badass.
she is exactly
She
like
is.
she is the most genuine, kind person ever. She's
it.
also a mom.
Yeah. Oh
and
my God.
Yes,
Superstar.
She's superwoman,
Literally,
right?
yeah.
And then between like Sarah's got a full-time job, what I do with Honey's full-time. I think that's been our biggest hurdle. It's just like figuring out how, like we would love to be able to focus more on stripes.
Yeah.
So some of the things we've been able to do have kind of felt like an afterthought. We don't want it to be an afterthought,
Right.
which is why Sarah's saying maybe if we even just had
Somebody
an intern or just
running
someone
it.
like we know what we need to get out there. It's like just a little bit later than when we wanted to push it out. But I have like full faith that 6 months from now, Stripes is, everybody in Baton Rouge is going to know who Stripes is.
I love it.
So, and we were blessed even that in Register they featured
Yes.
us.
Let's go.
They
See,
featured
that's
us
awesome.
this month.
Let's
Yes,
go.
yeah,
Congratulations.
thanks,
Yeah,
thanks.
that's awesome.
Yes. So
It
that
was-
was a milestone in itself. I
Yeah.
never would
Right.
have thought I would be in Register magazine. I don't know about you.
No.
It's like, okay.
It was
Yeah,
super
look at
cool.
y'all.
It was like
I
a
love
little
it.
fangirl thing. It's
Yes,
like,
yes.
you know, being in cheer, baseball, gymnastics, like you're on, covers of newspapers,
Right.
and it was really cool in that capacity. But like now, like in the, the corporate world of sorts, you see all these like a 40 under 40, the 30, the business mindset, and you're like, oh gosh, that's kind of intimidating. You're like, okay, well, I started a business. Well, then it's really neat to see the yourself and your company in Registered. You're like,
Yes.
oh my gosh, we did
did
it!
it,
Like we're
yeah.
actually for real. Like
Yes.
it made it off paper.
Yep.
So that's just really cool. We're definitely gonna get that framed and
You need to.
and like I guess like maybe in the future, I guess like bigger plans is to have it be like sort of enterprised, where it has like multiple directions and
Nice.
different ways it
Yeah.
could go.
Yeah, we definitely don't want Stripes to just be like, it started out centered around LSU, but I feel like a lot of people get confused because they think, oh, you have to be a student athlete to be a part of Stripes, and that's definitely not true.
No,
or they
very
think,
cool.
oh, I'm not a female, I can't be. No,
Right.
it's
Right.
for males and females. Even though it is centered around LSU right now because that's how we've all met. LSU is the centerpiece to it, but we have full plans to expand outside of Baton Rouge.
Lila's got some plans to get up right now.
She
She's
was
getting-
snoring
sure.
earlier. It was so
She
cute.
is, yeah, she's a big
I've been
snorer.
scratching
I
her
don't know
the
where
whole
she
time.
thinks. Yeah, I don't even know where she thinks she's going right now. She's probably gonna come up to me and try to sit on my lap. But
Precious.
yeah, do you guys have a home base? Like, do you guys where you host events, or do you kind of go different places in the community and it's
Yeah.
always at someone else's place?
Yeah, it's always at someone else's place. And I guess that would be something like down the road that would be cool to have our own space to be able to
Yeah.
host. But as of right now, we're really reliant on businesses to be able to have that piece and element that we can have our event there.
Yeah.
And even with Honey, y'all, like I don't even have an office right now, and so it's like it's people probably don't even know that when they see me post stuff to Honey.
Yeah.
I don't have an office. My business partner lives in Slidell, and Stripes, we don't have an office either. We are really just trying our best, and I just a lot of people don't see that side on social media. So
Well, in
hopefully very
2024,
soon.
yeah, you don't need it. That's the beauty of it,
Right.
And honestly, I think it's smart, especially, take it from me, I've taken, wow, chill out. This is a new space for her. So thank you everybody for having some patience. This is my little girl. But yeah, in 2024, we can do everything. Like we really can, with phones, cameras, all these different things, connecting, Zoom, everything, right? And if I've learned one thing is to run a successful business, especially as a startup, keeping your overhead down. So like having rent and employees and all those things, like I've learned the hard way. I've had some great employees and I have a great space in Perkins Rail, right? But we've also taken on a lot through that. And I've had to, I've been fortunate. I made some money and stuff and I was able to invest into it. But I was writing a lot of checks every month, from my personal account and stuff
right.
because of that. So I think I commend you guys for doing it, in my opinion, the right way, slowly building and not taking off more than you can, chew at a
Right.
time and stuff like
Exactly.
that. So when it's right, you guys will get the space that you need. And I think you guys are doing a great job utilizing the community and involving people too. So it's smart.
Who knows? It could be next month. With the way things have been going, it's like you say it kind of jokingly, and then like a week later, it happens, and you're just like, oh, okay, we're doing this now. So who
Right.
knows?
Trust
Right.
me, yeah, we see that every day, especially on the media side of stuff. It's like, and like we just gotta, we've been, I invested in Taryn Cloth and Kristen Nuss, the 2 beach volleyball players from
Yes,
LSU that are going to be in the Paris Olympics this year. I've known them for years, just through some random connections and stuff like that. Known Kristen for 4 or 5 years. And so when they needed some sponsors and they needed some PR work, I was like, let's start a podcast. Let's do it out of the shop. Let's create some clothing merch. I have a team that'll help you know, at least. And so I did a lot of things up front for them. And I was betting on them that they were going to, you know, take care of me in the long run. And I really just believed in them as individuals, right? Like they were going to make it, they were going to have some money coming in. And if the podcast started making money, they were like, look, we'll take care of you. And last week we got our first deal and everything, right? So right when you need it, like Abby's stressing out. She's like, we need this camera. And I'm like, look, we got some money coming in. Let's go utilize it now, you know, and you can now have some business expenses and grow, and you can learn as a business owner how to do that stuff. So timing is everything too in business. And it's funny that you say it could happen like this, because you never know when it's going to happen. You never know. Yeah, really cool. All right, so what else you guys want to talk about before I let you all go? I really appreciate you guys coming in the middle of the day too. So
yeah,
thanks.
this was the best time for us.
This was the best time.
Yeah.
Oh, I have a thought.
Yeah.
So it's funny when Abby first texted me asking us to come on, we were so excited. She said like athletic careers. And so I was telling my boyfriend Connor, I was like, well, gymnastics is definitely seen as a, like, gymnastics now is probably one of the most viewed sports in the SEC, but cheerleading, a lot of people still don't view it as a sport. As a former cheerleader, nothing makes me happier than seeing cheerleaders start to get acknowledged. Like the first cheerleader Get Gordon team, Kylie Hebert.
Yes.
I actually like trained her before she tried out, so it's like full
I
circle. I'm
love
so
that.
happy.
Yes.
Like NIL things were not available for cheerleaders, and so it's just nothing makes me happier to see cheer start being recognized, and hopefully it just keeps growing like that.
I love that. And if anybody thinks that cheerleading is not a sport, you can go F yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sorry. Sometimes I say the F word vulgarly, but that would have been pretty intense if I would have said that way. But no, I've had, you know, my niece has done gymnastics, she's done dance, you know, different things like that. And I've had the Tiger Girls on. I think I've had some cheerleaders on before. And to me, first of all, it is a physical sport. You guys are moving differently and doing things differently than some other major sports. But to me, again, the sacrifice, the demand, the team commitments, that all makes it a sport too. So that's the thing that I think people take for granted. You guys are at every single event.
I was about to say, cheerleaders don't have an off season.
No,
y'all. We're
that's
happy
what
to
I
be
mean.
there. I'm not complaining. But
demanding.
There's just no, because when you're at every sport, it's like you don't really have an off season to just focus on you. So the schedule is very hectic and crazy, which is kind of what I missed. Like looking back, like last year when I was living in Mandeville, things did slow down a bit.
Yeah.
I missed, honestly, just being on the go like that.
Yeah.
So I'm just happy that they're getting some recognition
Absolutely.
now. Sad I'm not there for it, but like now I can,
you
cheer for them.
were a part of laying the foundation
Yes.
for them to be able to do that. And what was the girl's name that just got her deal?
Kylie Hebert.
Yeah, and so you said you trained her. That's amazing. Like that's the kind of stuff that's really rewarding. And again, it's going to open up so many doors for you in the right ways when it's supposed to. So yeah, happy that you got that, and she's getting that love too for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's awesome.
I guess in like a closing remark is that I think a lot of times, like within LSU athletics, that there's something that I loved most about when I was in college, and it was just like my teammates and being around people who were, like-minded and who really, you were all striving for the same goals and you had the same end goal in mind. And so whenever you're separated from that a little bit, you're like, okay, like how do I have this like sense of community again? Mm-hmm. And so I think that that's what we really want to accomplish with Stripes. And of me, Shannon, and Amanda being, kind of the forefront leaders of where guiding the boat where we're going to go with this. And I think it's really cool for us to have like the same goal in mind, but then also to have more people come on board and you're like, yeah, like that's where we're heading to. So just like really being able to build that community that I loved and had, and then just being able to see what that looks like in a different phase of life. Yeah. So
I love it. I just had two more before I let you go. I had two more questions. As you said that, it just kind of like popped in my mind too. And I'm sure, and I don't mean to bring up her name to try to, whatever, because she's so famous and clout and all that stuff, but Livy Dunn, right? Were you teammates with her?
Yes.
Okay, so that means you probably saw her in her early years. Talk to me about now what the reason was that she has gotten so well known. Did she do stuff to grow her personal brand? I don't know Livy too much at all, and I just see what I see on the phone, right?
Right.
So maybe you could talk to our listeners about what you've kind of learned from her experience and your own, becoming brand ambassadors, influencers, and gaining that following and stuff like that. But I'm always curious to know what it was for her to take her to that such stratospheric level, you know, type thing.
Right. First, I love Livy. She is a sweet person.
Awesome.
She's so
awesome.
sweet.
And she's
super
from Jersey,
genuine.
and I'm from Jersey.
She is
too,
from
so that's
Jersey.
I didn't know she was from there.
Uh-huh.
Oh.
Yeah.
So she's super awesome. I have no ill to say about her.
Yeah.
So she started her social media presence before she was in college. So
okay.
she posted a lot of like gym pictures or gym videos of her flipping, the rest of everything, which is really cool to see. I mean, just in general,
Yeah,
like, wow,
different.
like,
yeah. Exactly.
you know, just the aspect of difficulty and the rest of it. So, and then, you know, TikTok was kind of like you were talking about earlier, like, you know, younger generations were born into, you know, being on a phone and, you know, all the rest of it. So I think that, you know, she just really had like a large following when she came to college. And then whenever she came to college, I mean, you know, there's that effect of, you know, LSU posting you now and like, you know, you're on a team and it's really special. So I think that's really how she gained a lot of her traction. She had milestones before college, and then in college she just had really kept and found her niche within athletics. And so it was really cool getting to be you know, ask her about like TikTok and ask for advice. I'm like, all right, I need this to go viral, like what do I do about it? And you're like, she's like, the sillier the better, like, you know, like she's really cool. You know, she always gave back to us with NIL things. She was sponsored by a clothing company. You know, we'd always get like little clothing gifts for Christmas or something like that from that brand. So it was really cool. It wasn't the tensions were never high as far as like NIL and like nobody really had a tiptoe around that subject. It was just really like, yeah, that's just what it is, and y'all can come do it if you want. And
that's cool.
So it was cool. It was cool.
Yeah, I like hearing that. She seems like a sweetheart. Yeah, and it seems like she's a great teammate. Again, all I see is on TV at the meets, you know, things like that. She seems awesome. And she's dating Paul Skeens, and Paul Skeens is salt of the earth. He's awesome dude. So I'm happy for them for sure.
Yeah,
I think Livy Dunn is really an opportunist. So I'd like to say that like she struck while the iron was hot. Coming into LSU, it was like timing too, because think about it, TikTok was really for like middle school aged to early high school. Nobody in college really had TikTok, right? And then with COVID, it blew up you were having, and so she stayed consistent. Had she not, she'd probably still be famous at LSU because she's a great gymnast, but
not as like to she's the peak that it
for
is,
sure an opportunist. She saw that chance and like she did not stop, and that was cool to see in real time.
That's what you know. Outsiders think everybody knows everybody at LSU, so people are like Livy Dunn. I'm like, I don't know. I'm 15 years older than her. I'm like, I have no idea who like anything about her except what I see on the same things you guys do. But I was like, if I had to guess, she got the all-American look. She seems like a super sweetheart. And she probably timed TikTok when everything was going viral and people were just glued to their phones, and she knew how to capture attention. So you like tip your cap to that and say, you know, she put in the time and the effort and had a lot of the variables that made success, 100%. You know, and things like that. So
think about Addison Rae. She was at LSU at the time that she started, an incoming freshman. She had just tried out for Tiger Girls. I remember seeing her in the cheer facility too. I think she might have gotten cut from Tiger Girls, but she was still like a part of some of the teams that practiced in there, or so, I don't really remember, but I did meet her once, and she just had that kind of like Livy, the opportunist personality, where she, like when you talk to her, just comes across like she didn't have a big head. And as soon as she started blowing up, she booked those trips to LA and ran with it.
Yeah, exactly.
So super happy for her too. It's cool to see people like that started at LSU grow to be so big.
Opportunist. That's a great word for real. Like I love that. And I know you're probably sick of answering that question about Livy. So I'm sorry to bring that up.
No, it's a great question. She's a great person. So I love
it's
to know
easy
to
to talk about. Good. That makes me happy. Good. And then I have one more thing. And again, my podcast is called The Up and In Show. It's about getting in the minds of people, sometimes being vulnerable, sometimes, you know, being open and honest and that kind of stuff. When I was done playing ball, you know, there was definitely an identity, you know, not crisis, but there was an identity shift, right? And that's something I always do like to talk to people that had played a sport their whole life and now are transitioning into something new. So maybe we could talk a little bit about that before I let y'all go. You know, you guys are both in jobs and starting your own business and now have this different view of yourself, and the world has a different view of yourself. How has that affected you guys?
I remember saying my entire senior year of college, I don't even think I said what I studied at LSU. I was mass comm broadcast journalism, which is how I met Abby.
Nice. Yeah.
Anyways, I just remember like cheerleading was my entire life.
Right.
I was captain for 2
Yeah.
years. Like I didn't really have a time for an internship. And honestly, I couldn't really see past that. I'm just like, okay, I know I'm really driven. I have a lot to bring to the table, but I don't really know where that's going to be just yet. And then just like other students were always saying like, oh, I'm moving here and I already have a job lined up. And I'm just kind of like, oh crap.
Yeah. How?
What the hell am I going to do?
Yeah.
Like being a cheerleader, you know, I just, that's how I always describe myself. That's how people would describe my personality as well.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
I have these people skills. I'm great on camera. And so, you know, I was just like, I don't think I want to be a reporter.
Yeah.
I really want to dive into social media. And so I felt lucky that a company really took a chance on me because I didn't have those skills on paper.
Yeah.
And I think it had to take me stepping out of my comfort zone completely. And I stepped into a position like I was not trained there. There was no social media position when I started.
Yeah.
So I think that approach, honestly, like I just dove in head first, and I'm grateful that I did. You find out what you're made of, but I definitely remember being like, okay, what am I going to do now with all of this free time? I miss being a part of a team. I miss being around like the healthy competition, the vibe of it all. You miss that. And I worked at a smaller company, so it wasn't like I was around 20 something male and females like I was every day at cheer.
Right.
And so for people, like you always describe yourself like, oh, I'm an LSU baseball player. Oh, I'm an LSU gymnast.
Yeah.
When you no longer have that like cushion of you are who you've always been, and what I like to say about personal brands, it never really stops growing. So just because this chapter has ended, like it doesn't have to end everything there.
Yeah.
I do think a lot of athletes do kind of see a drop off once
Yep.
you graduate. If you don't play your sport professionally, you lose a whole sense of support. You might lose quite a few followers along
Yeah.
that journey too. And so keep sharing what you're passionate about. The people who are meant to follow you are going to stay with you.
Absolutely.
Like there's just, you don't really want those people on your side anyway. If they like,
Yeah.
as soon as
If
you
they want to bounce, yeah,
right.
let them
If you don't
bounce.
have that
Yeah,
title anymore, let them go.
Yeah.
You will find your groove, but if you're not willing to be uncomfortable, it's not going to happen. So
That's the biggest thing. I always love that phrase, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And that's
Yeah.
what we kind of talked about in the beginning, right? Too, is like, you're just trying different things and you're figuring out, I'm going to post
Right.
this because I like it. And then as long as it's organic and authentic to you, the right people, like you said, will be attracted to that and start following you. And then it'll start slow, but you'll eventually start getting the people that really matter for the rest of your life. And that's, really important. So I love that you said that. Thank you.
I think it was also a point of like proving, and this just might be like the stigma behind it. Like I felt like I almost needed to prove to myself that I'm not just a cheerleader.
Yes,
Like I was like,
absolutely.
whatever I
Hell
do,
yeah.
like I'm such a hard charger. I knew I had to be like really good at what I did. So I think it was finding that one thing that drove me the way that cheerleading did.
Yeah.
And that's how it was with the social media. So
I love it.
And I feel like to pick up on like the point of that, like you find out the things that you liked about your college sport, and you can and you see them in a different light now. Like I loved the physical aspect of it. So like right now I'm getting my certificate to be a personal trainer. And so
Nice.
like,
That's
I
awesome.
like
Yeah.
I like that characteristic. I like the competitive nature of it. So I go to like group workout classes. And so you find that sense of community. Like we started a business because of it. So and like I feel that being a few years out from like being an LSU gymnast, I think it is cool though to still have that remain, like it will be a part of you.
Right.
And like you'll still get that recognition. Like I had someone like the other day, they're like, you look familiar. And I'm like, like where do you know me from? Right. And then you kind of get into that conversation. But I think that you can really pull like those elements that you enjoyed about that, and like the physicality or, the determination or the competitiveness. Like I joined a tennis league now, and like I'm picking up
love
a
it.
new
Yeah,
sport.
yeah.
So I feel like there's different things and like different milestones that you can take away from something that you had done for like 20 something years, and like be able to see what that looks like in a new light, and like how you just kind of like shift your perspective to it. So
I love it. Perspective is everything. That's what I always say too. And sometimes you have to get out of your sport to really appreciate who you are as a person and to really love yourself too, and understand, I say this all the time on the podcast. I'm like, I always thought people, followed me, liked me, looked at me as a good leader, thought I was good looking because I played baseball, and it was just because of the uniform. But then afterwards I was like, wait, people gravitate to me way more. I get way more compliments. People are, just like more human. It's just, I think you're on their level, so to speak, right? They don't look at you as like, oh my God, you're LSU gymnast, cheerleader. Oh my God, I could never do that. I could never do that. It's like we do all the same stuff now together. Like, we're all in the same space, and I'm struggling just the same way you are with everything and mental health and all that stuff. So I think that's the really cool part that you guys are probably just starting to get to know, but I'm 8 years into that journey now, and it's still really rewarding every day to kind of see that stuff, and the self-love that comes from it is really cool.
And kind of what, to Shannon's point too, is like you just kind of get to figure out who you are is like separate from that. So like you have now time in your hands. You're like, what am I interested in? What can I be interested in? I can be interested in a lot of things.
That's
and
a cool thing,
so I feel like there's just the constant inspiration of like, well, I could go down that journey. And so like whether that be entrepreneurship or whether that just be life, I just feel like there's just so many opportunities because now there's a little bit more time, a little bit more flexibility. And you're like, well, if I want to do that, if I'm interested in that, I can do it. So I guess that's my perspective on.
And not as much restrictions, right? Like, like for baseball, it's like, I couldn't go on this, I couldn't try this, like safety wise, even like, little things. I'm sure the same, you guys always had to be healthy and things like that. You're like, I can go skiing now. Like,
exactly.
I can do right? And it's these things that not only you have time for, but you can take a little risk. You can try some things. I can go play basketball with my friends and do some shit like that and weight lift in a different way and push my body in a different way.
For sure.
So I think, like you said, that's a really cool perspective too, that you really enjoy as a non-athlete now, things like that. So
if you don't continue to push it, I feel like you're going to confine yourself into a box of who you were.
Yes.
But you can't be who you were because that chapter it's ended.
Yep.
That's always going to be a piece of you. You carry that with you, but like, why not try and see where else you could go?
Yep.
Continued development.
Yes.
Yep. And that's what I told you guys. I had the Savannah Bananas shortstop on right before y'all, and that's what he was talking about. It was really cool. He was like, I'm kind of lucky. I played college baseball on a smaller level. I played some independent baseball, and then I was out of the game for a couple of years. And then so he's like, I just tried a bunch of different things. I figured out just like how to be me and like what made me happy. And now I'm fortunate enough to be on this bigger stage again, and he's got his hair dyed. He's like this like avatar arrow. He's got earrings. He's got his nails painted. He's like, and I don't care. I'm just me, and I'm happy. And now I see kids coming up to me, and he's like, and I just realized like this is what makes me happy. And I'm fortunate enough to play baseball again and do the same things. And I'm like, that's a really cool perspective. And he was like, just try everything. He was telling kids, he's like, be you, embrace you, and like love yourself. That's it. And I'm like, damn, that's awesome. So I love hearing that perspective too.
Love that.
Well, ladies, this was really cool. I love this conversation. And we definitely need to get a coffee ASAP and start breaking down how we can work together and start building some
We're
stuff
so down.
together.
We're here for it.
Thanks for having us. We're excited to be here.
Thank you.
Yeah, this was awesome. And like I said, we're looking forward to doing some stuff together. I know we're all going to be doing the media stuff, maybe helping some clients out, working together both ways. So
well, I'll be back here next week. So
that's what Abby said. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Good. Again, thank you all. Appreciate it. Good luck the rest of the way. And I have to shout out a few of our sponsors. We talked about St. Rock Vodka and 7-3 Distilling. We appreciate them so much. But we are also sponsored by Rejuve Me Medical, the anti-aging clinic in Baton Rouge here. So they do hormone replacement therapy and things like that, but they also do stuff for ladies, I guess men too, but fillers, Botox, all that kind of stuff. So no, not everybody knows that. But if you guys are in the Baton Rouge surrounding areas, they're actually all over. I think they have like 12 locations now. They do all kinds of stuff for all kinds of people. So go in there, mention my last name, Ranaudo, Ranaudo. You guys get a little discount on your first blood work if you guys want to go that route, and some discounts along the way. But thank y'all. Appreciate you, and appreciate you ladies.
Thank you.